What's going on, everybody? It's the Wise Guys here with episode number 26. I am Brandon Capizzello, that's John Tortorelli, and that is Justin Ray. And we are here to preview week 2 of the NFL. We got the big games that we're going to cover. We're going to go in depth on Kansas City and the Los Angeles Chargers. We're going to talk about Pittsburgh, John's team, me and Justin's team, the New England Patriots going at it. We're going to talk about the Bucs versus the Saints. Brady's had a little tough go as of late in the regular season against that team. And we're going to talk about Baltimore and Miami going at it. 2 1-0 teams. We're going to do a pick'em for the rest of the lineup for the NFL this week. And then we're going to end this episode with a NBA Southeast Division breakdown rankings type thing. John, Justin, how are you guys doing this fine morning?
I'm excited, man. We're going to talk some NBA at the very end, talk about your Miami Heat and Justin's Knicks.
Oh gosh, talk about the Knicks. Even though I'm repping them today, but I'm feeling good, guys. I'm ready to go. Let's talk some football.
Let's talk some football. All right, let's dive right into it. Thursday night, tonight, we are going to see the Kansas City Chiefs, who took down and, let's be honest, beat the crap out of the Arizona Cardinals in week 1. They are taking on the Los Angeles Chargers, who won a tough game against the Las Vegas Raiders. This game is in Kansas City. Thursday night football, the first time on Amazon Prime Video. They signed a multi-year deal, big money. Keenan Allen is out for the Chargers. J.C. Jackson is questionable with that ankle injury. Harrison Butker, the kicker for the Chiefs, while you guys might not think it's important and laugh at it, trust me, if it comes down to a field goal or an extra point, it's going to be very important. And the cornerback rookie first-round pick for the Kansas City Chiefs, Trent McDuffie, is put on IR, so he is out for a while. Kansas City is favored by 4 points. And before I kick it to one of you, I just want to say a little fun facts about these matchups. The Chiefs have won 13 of the past 16 matchups against the Chargers, though the Chargers have won 2 of the past 3. One of those was in January, where KC rested their starters. Andy Reid is 15-6 against the Chargers. LA is trying to start off the season 2-0 since 2012. And Kansas City has won the AFC West 6 straight times. John, I'm going to kick it to you first. Give me your thoughts on this big-time Thursday night football game.
I got a question real quick. Is this the game we look back at the end of the season when we have a division winner in the West and say, that's the one right there? I think when we look at this matchup early in the season, we're going to see a lot of Pat Mahomes, Justin Herbert for the next decade, hopefully. And this is kind of the first year of it. We're expecting the Chargers to not only make the playoffs, but win a few playoff games, whereas the Chiefs have something to prove after losing a superstar wide receiver. So what I'm really looking forward to seeing is, without Keenan Allen, the Chargers' weapons are limited, akin to the Chiefs, where Pat Mahomes isn't working with an elite wide receiver. The fascinating thing, though, is this early in the season, you guys talk about it week 1, how it's kind of a 4th preseason game. Are we going to see some rust with one of these two teams on either end of the ball? Defensively, particularly, maybe the Chargers, if J.C. Jackson doesn't play this week, have a down performance. Could this Chiefs offensive line, while Trey Smith is questionable, and this one is one of the best in the NFL. Now, they're a little bit weaker at tackle for sure with Creed Humphrey. By the way, one of our older episodes, I think I called him Creed Humphrey. I completely butchered his name. I'm trying to think what I called him, but that's the point. It is fascinating to see Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa going up against him and Andrew Wiley. So I'm looking forward to seeing how Mahomes can kind of continue off of a strong performance off Arizona last week. I had the Chiefs winning this one. I can't go against Mahomes. I think he's the best quarterback in the league. And Herbert, he's still got more to prove. And for him, if he does beat Mahomes in this one, I feel that some people, a little bit like Josh Allen from the last 2 years, might try to put him in that Mahomes tier, which I don't think he's quite there yet. But this matchup is going to be the game of the week, in my opinion. I have the Chiefs taking it 31-27.
You said game of the week. I think this one has game of the year kind of potential here. So I have a fun stat. Justin Herbert against the Chiefs in his career, he's 2-2, but his touchdown and interceptions, 10 touchdowns to 2 interceptions against the Chiefs. This is a guy you said you don't see him on the Mahomes tier. And I understand that he hasn't played in the playoff games. But if you're taking playoffs out of it, I believe he is on that same level. I think it's the margin of difference here between Josh Allen, Justin Herbert, Patrick Mahomes. There's not big of a difference there. I feel like they're all big time quarterbacks. They're elite quarterbacks, and we'll be talking about them for the next 10 plus years. Going into this game, I feel like it's a big prove it game. I feel like last week, the Chargers were definitely battle tested. They're in a divisional game going against the Raiders, a new and improved Raiders team, and they step up to the challenge. Now, my biggest concern is the Chiefs. The Chiefs walked into Arizona and really took on a very underprepared Arizona Cardinals team that both of us, all three of us here, don't think too highly of. So I feel like the team that was most battle tested in week one has the edge here. So personally, I got the Chargers winning 34-28.
Interesting. All right, so you guys both got Kansas City covered. Oh no, wait, you said you have the Chargers, Justin. Okay, so you have the Chargers winning in Kansas City. Okay, oof. I do think this is going to be a very exciting game, right? I mean, both offenses are pretty prolific. Now, I think the Chargers proved a lot of people kind of right and wrong about them because there was a lot of hype going into the season. Is this just a paper team? They're great on paper, but paper doesn't usually sometimes doesn't translate to the field. I was really high on them. I had them as a top 5 team in the NFL in its entirety. I think what was disappointing about last week's game was really, I mean, they turned Carr over 3 times, right? Intercepted him 3 different times, sacked him 5 times, 6 in total. They had 1 sack on Davante Adams, who tried to pass the ball, I guess, on a trick play. But what's disappointing is that with all that said, the Raiders had a chance to win in the fourth quarter with 3 minutes and 30 seconds left in the game. They were only down by 5 points, until they turned it over on downs because they just couldn't convert. I think Khalil Mack actually sacked him on the last drive of the game for the Raiders. That's a little like, pause for cause. Like, okay, you did all that great stuff on defense, but yet they still had a chance to win in the fourth quarter. And even to that, like, yes, they got 3 interceptions, but where is it here? Who went? Oh, Davante Adams. He had where is it? Okay, 10 receptions for 141 yards, and Darren Waller, while he didn't catch the ball a lot, only had 4 catches, but he still had 79 yards, and I think that rounds out to about 19 yards per catch. And even Josh Jacobs, while he didn't get a lot of touches on the ground, 10 for 57, that's 5.7 yards a carry. That'll work a lot. So I mean, yes, Bosa and Mac showed that their pairing is going to be scary, and Kansas City's tackles, while elite, have a lot to deal with this Thursday night. I think the rest of the defense can be had, even with a Derwin James, even Asante Samuel Jr. coming into his own, even if J.C. Jackson comes back. It looks like this defense can be had still. Now, they're going to probably be predicated on a bend but don't break defense, where they can make the big plays late in the fourth quarter. Like, they'll give up the yards in the first, like, 3 quarters and even in the fourth, but they'll make that big play in the last drive of the game where they'll get a stop or whatever. I look at this. I mean, they have absolutely nobody to cover Travis Kelce, though. Travis Kelce, in the last 3 games against the Chargers, listen to this: 10 receptions, 191 yards, and 2 touchdowns. 7 receptions, 104 yards, and a touchdown, and 9 receptions for 90 yards and a touchdown. And he's coming off 8 catches for 120 yards, 21 yards, and a touchdown. And he's the if so facto number 1 option now. They got
Derwin-
nobody to guard him. I know.
Isn't this
Derwin
why
James
they,
healthy.
this is why they paid Derwin James, my man. He got injured the
I
last
know,
time
and I
they
was just
played.
about to say you got Derwin James, but we all know, is Derwin James really going to slow down Travis Kelce?
In their last matchup, our buddy Drew on Pickaside was actually talking about it. He was doing a hell of a job on T. Kelsey, and then he got down, and that was where Kelsey took off. I think
Okay.
you look at the pass rush last year. First off, it was one of the most squishy defensive lines. There was basically no run stoppers, but now you add in Khalil Mack who can stop the run and come off the edge. That changes the entire defense, and the secondary has improved as well, whether or not J.C. Jackson plays just with Asante Samuel going to his second season. So this is a different type of defense than it has been in past years, especially with the second year in the system coming in with Brand Staley. I'm saying, dude,
John, you picked the Chiefs. Why are you arguing against me right now?
I don't think Kelsey's going to go off. I think he'll have a good game, but
Okay.
the
I
Chiefs'
think
offense
Kelce's
is going to be
fine.
spreading around everybody. MVS, Juju, maybe
I
a
know
little
he's going to be
Sky
shredding
Moore.
it around. I know Juju had a good game, 6 for 79, but Travis is still that number one option. And listen, it is hard to cover elite tight ends in this league.
To be
Very
clear,
difficult.
Justin,
Huh?
I had the Chiefs winning, but I'm trying to tell you the Chargers do have somebody to guard T. Kelsey. I think Derwin James can do a heck of a job, as he's going to show today.
I don't-
Justin, you with me here? I can't be the only one.
I do think that Travis Kelce is going to get a lot of targets early and often. So I'm not going to go in there and say he's not going to have a big game. What do you consider a big game? Because I feel like average for Kelce, he's going to at least have 75 yards, if not more, and a touchdown.
I would
I think
say
he'll find him.
8 catches, 100 and over a touchdown, maybe, or 120 in a TD.
Yeah, no, I think
That's a big
getting
day.
100 over 100 yards. I think he's going to get over 100 yards again. I think he's going to find the end zone again. He's found in the last 3 matchups. Now, here's the thing on on the Chargers though that's very worrying. Keenan Allen is out, and he was able to find the end zone in their last 2 matchups against the Chargers. Mike Williams. Well, last week he had 2 catches for 10 yards. Didn't, got paid and didn't show up week 1. And in the last matchup against the Chiefs, he had 3 catches on 9 targets for 49 yards. Now, what he's going to need to do is in the first matchup last year against Kansas City, he balled the hell out. He had 7 for 122 and 2 touchdowns. That's what he's going to need to do. And Austin Eckler balling out. Those guys are going to have to show up because of Keenan Allen being out. Excuse me. I look at it and I say, you know what, man, we've seen Mahomes under duress so much. He's got great movement in the pocket. He can move out of the pocket. He can evade pressure with some of the best of them. Extending plays is like his second nature. We saw how great he looked while the Arizona Cardinals defense is very weak, and we like the Chargers defense a lot more. I still think in this league, Mahomes is going to be able to really pick apart this defense. I think I think it's going to be close. I'm not going to say it's going to be like a blowout. I think it's going to be around like a 31-28 type game. But I just expect Kansas City to have a lot easier of a day than Justin Herbert and the Chargers due to Keenan Allen being out.
So what's this game going to come down to? What do you think decides?
Justin Herbert, he's the type of guy. I mean, you were saying it before, Justin. In terms of skill set, he is on Mahomes' level. You can argue he is more skilled than Mahomes, given the fact he can do what he does at 6'6". What do you mean? No. Do you watch this guy play? Brandon's the
I
type of
watch
guy.
him play, but like, come on, can
Justin,
we please
you and I
stop
know
this stuff?
Please stop it. He hasn't won a Super Bowl yet. Come on.
No,
Are
I'm
you
not
serious?
saying that. I wasn't
that what
going to
you're
even
doing?
bring that up. I wasn't going to even bring that up. You brought up strictly talent, so I was going to keep it talent-wise. I was going to say, can we please stop with this? Listen, Patrick Mahomes came out of the draft, right? Then he started for the season, and we all were in awe and just reveled in the fact of this master of an arm talent, right? Aaron Rodgers got freaking praised for the last decade about being the most talented talented player at the quarterback position of all time. Like, okay, these guys are really good.
You know why I say that?
Great, but like, do you see the stuff Patrick Mahomes does?
Yeah, and I see the stuff Herbert does, staying at 6'6". It is not normal when you're throwing from
Listen,
that high of a point.
Herbert is coming off of his 9th game of at least 3 touchdowns and no interceptions. That ties him with Mahomes for
You
the
realize
most in their first
Mahomes, I
3
think,
seasons.
I forget the stat, 5 touchdowns, no interceptions. I think he has 6 games of those in his career, and he's tied with somebody in second only Brady and Manning, and Brady and Manning have 9.
You do
Think
realize
about
what
that.
Mahomes has stepped into versus
Okay, so
Justin
now you're
Herbert.
bringing up the talent around. You realize that Keenan Allen and Mike Williams were there, right? Austin Eckler was there. While they didn't have the head coach, they had the
Or the
talent,
offensive line
the
was rookie
offensive
year.
weapons. They had the offensive weapons, I'm saying, though.
Andy Reid, Anthony Lynn, and Brandon
Yes,
Staley.
I give you that. I didn't argue that point. But I'm giving you the offensive weapons. He had the talent.
But there's just more structure from Mahomes.
You're right on
I'm
the
saying,
talent. Yeah.
I'm saying Justin Herbert is running his level as a talent. I mean, the kid is phenomenal. Last week there was one throw where I think it was Chandler Jones that was dragging his back foot and pulling him to the ground. And while he's being pulled to the ground, his back right leg, he throws an absolute dart over the middle of the field, perfect completion. I'm just saying to myself, like, well over, I think it was 15 plus yards, right?
Mm-hmm.
That was a decent throw. I was like, I don't know if any quarterback, even like a Josh Allen,
I'm not sitting here arguing that Justin Herbert is not a very talented quarterback. He is.
He's an elite, phenomenal talent.
I'm just sitting here arguing that, like, there are levels to this, and can we stop putting everybody on just the same level, because then it just doesn't become special anymore. Like you're basically just saying special is not, anybody can be special now.
Well, that's like, a tribute to how special the NFL is today.
But see, no, because not everybody can be special, because then special has just become normal.
If you throw over 9,000 yards in your first 2 seasons and you break your boy Baker Mayfield's touchdown record as a rookie, I think you're pretty darn special, my man. Would you disagree? Because Justin Herbert is one of the most insane talents I've ever seen at the quarterback position. I don't throw that around lightly.
I think you okay.
He's going to his 3rd season. We're already expecting him to be an MVP. What do you mean I'm throwing around lightly? If you're in the MVP discussion,
well, Mahomes was an MVP in his 1st season starting.
That's why I'm saying they're both phenomenal talents. I think you're missing the point.
Okay. You're missing the point, because you're saying he's on the talent level of Mahomes, and Mahomes has actually even won an MVP. Justin Herbert hasn't.
I'm talking about talent, not awards. And as you said, there's
does talent not equal awards? Because talent is what you put out onto the field, which equates to stats. Stats equal accomplishments. Accomplishments equal you won an award. That is kind of how it works.
Talent is literally just pure physical ability.
Yeah, but okay, so if you have the physical ability, then you go out in the field, and what do you use to drive forward? Your physical talents, right? And then your physical talents equate to, oh, look, I just threw a 50-yard bomb. I have 50 yards on my stat sheet now. Oh, look, I just threw a whatever type bomb. Well, look, I just threw 3 touchdowns. Then guess what? Now your stats build up over the weeks. And then guess what? You end up being an MVP. Justin Herbert hasn't done that. And that's also because the wins too. Like, they're not going to give a guy who's 9-8 an MVP. This isn't the NBA where Russell Westbrook is an 8th seed or a 7th seed and he's winning an MVP. Winning actually matters in the NFL. I just don't want to sit here. I'm not sitting here disrespecting Justin Herbert. I think he is a very talented quarterback. He's in my top 10 and he's only in season 3. I'm just saying there's levels to this game, and Mahomes is on a different level.
So how many special quarterbacks are there in the NFL today?
I would say 5.
And what 5 would you say? Let me hear your 5.
Brady, Rodgers, Mahomes, Josh Allen, and Justin Herbert. Of course, you got the Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow's around the outside looking in. I have him at number 6. And Matthew Stafford, those guys are awesome. They're high-level elite. They're elite. When I say special, I mean you are a bona fide Hall of Famer. And if you're not a Hall of Famer already, you have the talent.
Justin Herbert's in his 3rd season. He's a Hall of Famer.
People were talking about Patrick Mahomes Hall of Fame after his 1st season.
I don't agree with that.
I said you're A, going to the Hall of Fame easily, or B, you have the talent to be a Hall of Famer in literally just a couple of seasons.
So Russell doesn't have either of those.
I think he's barely a Hall of Famer for me. My credentials. I think he just gets.
I think Russ is a shoo-in for the Hall of Fame, but when I look at special quarterbacks, I'm talking about special talents that you don't see every single day. Like that, they don't just grow on trees. These are quarterbacks that teams like the Jets and Giants have been looking for the longest. So Herbert, I'd say Burrow, I'd say Russ. I'd say they're about 7. I'd even go as far as and to say Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, okay, fine. You know what? I'll give you guys that. All right, the specialness of these quarterbacks, fine. But then there's still levels to that specialness.
I'm not denying that. I agree with you.
Okay,
I'm
well
just saying
then
as a
my
talent.
point, my whole point was that Mahomes is on a different level. He's with an Aaron Rodgers. That's where
All right,
I put.
I want to focus
Too
on this game
talented.
at this point, my man.
Huh?
I get it.
Okay.
I
All
want
right.
to focus on this
So,
game.
all right. So you guys have anything? I mean, we pretty much. I mean, me and John are on the Chiefs side. I think John thinks that Chargers have a real good chance of beating the Chiefs. I can see that happening too. I think they won in Kansas City last year. I have nothing more to say. I mean, yeah,
Big time performance maybe come from Joey Bosa or Khalil Mack. I mean, like I said before, the tackle spot for Kansas City is the weak point here. And so Andrew Wiley is kind of the liability. So I'm excited to see how those two guys can build off of week 1.
My player to watch for this game is Joshua Palmer. I feel like a lot of players need to step up on the offensive side for the Chargers without Keenan Allen there. Eckler should have a big game. Mike Williams is going to be a big dog against KC, but Joshua Palmer is somebody to look out for.
all right.
Yep.
We'll go down to Kansas City and LA.
Yes, indeed.
All right, let's move on to, I guess you would call our game of the week. John's Pittsburgh Steelers. Take it out. Look at him nodding his head all happy.
Sure. You guys are coming to Acrisure Stadium, huh? So let me fill you guys in.
All right, you're going to keep interrupting me while I'm trying to introduce this topic. The Pittsburgh Steelers versus me and Justin's New England Patriots in Ashkur, whatever the hell that stupid stadium name is. Don't even say it, John. Don't even say. I don't care. I really don't care. I don't care. They're facing in Pittsburgh. New England is favored by 2 points, I believe. Still, yep. New England's favored by 2 points in Pittsburgh. Mac is dealing with back spasms. He says he's going to be good to go. Number 1 running back for John's team, Najee Harris, is dealing with a foot injury. He says he's going to be good to go. But TJ Watt is going to be out a little bit. You guys did get a reprieve because he should be back in about 6 to 7 weeks. Here's an interesting stat. Pittsburgh and New England haven't played each other since week 1 in 2019. You know how that game played out? Do you remember that game?
The score was 36-7.
33-3, New England Patriots.
That was worse than I thought.
And this, so Bill and Tomlin, Bill Belichick versus Mike Tomlin, head-to-head record, 5-3, favor to Bill Belichick. The first time these two Hall of Fame head coaches will be facing each other without their Hall of Fame quarterbacks, Ben and Tom. So, Justin, I'm going to bring it to you because John needs to calm down a little bit. What do you think about this game? Big matchup. New England Patriots 0-1. Can't go 0-2. Taking on the Pittsburgh Steelers, who squeaked out a win against the Cincinnati Bengals.
All right. So while I don't feel like this is the best matchup for our offense, this is should be a tough one for Mac and the offense to score points. I do feel like it's a great matchup for Bill Belichick and the defense. If there's any time to feast on a quarterback, it's to feast on Mitchell Trubisky and feast on his mistakes, his inaccuracy. Excuse me. He'll throw them into trouble. This is the kind of game that I can see will get sloppy. I could see New England pulling this one out, all because of the defense. This is going to be a defensive anchored game on the New England side.
One of the interesting storylines here is Brian Flores going up against his former team. I really thought Flores was going to join the Matt Patricias and Joe Judges in New England. Not because he's anywhere near as bad as those guys as head coaches, but I thought he would go back to Belichick's staff. And of course, Justin, you said it before. One of the Instagram or Twitter posts you saw was Belichick potentially trying to sabotage the Miami Dolphins, a division rival, by sending that text to Brian Flores, which would lead to the team getting suspended. And now Flores is working with Pittsburgh's linebackers. And last week we saw versus the Cincinnati Bengals a mean streak, as I referred to the Black Air Force One type energy. I think this game is going to be smash mouth. Minkah Fitzpatrick trying to assert his will, trying to create plays in the back end. And though we're without TJ Watt, a fascinating storyline here is Malik Reed from Denver, a player that had to fill in for Von Miller when he tore his ACL, and Bradley Chubb in the last 2 seasons in Denver. Now he's filling in for the reigning Defensive Player of the Year in TJ Watt. So I'm excited, man. As a Steeler fan, I know very little about this guy, but now he has an opportunity to show himself again in the NFL as a starter. We traded for him about 2 weeks ago. So it's a very quick turnaround. He goes from being in Denver in the Mile High to starting at Acrisure Stadium. That is the name of it, Brandon. And I'm really excited to see what they do to this offensively challenged Patriots offense, because whether or not Kendrick Bourne plays, there is no explosiveness there, and there's really not a threat the way Jamar Chase was a week ago to the Steelers. They're going to blitz, I'm sure, a ton. They're going to pack the box, because I don't think they're really afraid of Devontae Parker. In fact, Mike Tomlin in his interview was talking more highly about Matthew Slater, their legendary special teams player, the gunner. He's a legend. And I think this Patriots offense can run the ball well, but the Steelers invest heavily this offseason, signing Onajobi from Cincinnati and going on the draft and getting DeMarvin Leal to really stop that run. And if we can do that, it's really just going to come down to Mitchell Trubisky not losing the turnover battle. Because, Justin, you said it, he was so bad last week. And, I mean, he did on the stat sheet throw for 194 on 38 attempts. Bro, the dude was consistently inaccurate. Couldn't like he has good arm strength, but he just can't connect downfield. And he can extend the play, but it's just like this dude's clearly a bridge quarterback. And I gave him some benefit of the doubt when he came in because maybe Dable would work some of that magic. But after a week, I'm saying to myself, I don't think so. And I'm excited to see hopefully Kenny Pickett sometime this year. But for the time being, like you said, Belichick is going to throw some wonky stuff at him. The game plan for Pittsburgh, like it was last week against Cincinnati, don't throw the game away. If you're going to take a shot downfield, don't throw into a double team, which he did last week and almost lost the game. Fortunately, a Bengals linebacker has crappy hands. So with all that being said, I had the Steelers winning this one, 21-17. It's going to be a close one. Ultimately, I think Chris Boswell will be one for the Steelers to make a pair of field goals. Maybe go for two. Actually, I'll go 20-17. Can the math won't add up there, Pittsburgh?
20-17. All right. Close game. Here's what I expect from this game, right? I expect Bill's plan is to make Mitch beat us. I think we're all on that same page there. Is they're going to make Mitchell Trubisky beat us. We shut down the Dolphins run game. While it's not on the same level as the Steelers run game, because Najee is more talented than the Dolphins running backs, but we held them to 23 carries for 65 yards. So, and Najee is coming, dealing with a foot injury. So I expect our run defense to be there. I don't expect the Steelers run defense to really explode on us. While you say we're offensively challenged and we don't have really like a explosive playmaker, for me, I mean, what really made the difference last week was they had Tyreek and we didn't. He's a game breaker. Tyreek Hill is a game breaker. You know what I mean? And while Deontay Johnson is very talented, and you think very highly of him, John, I don't think he's a game breaker like Tyreek, and I think you can agree with that. He doesn't worry me that much this game simply for the fact that he's 5'10", and we have small cornerbacks that can move pretty well. So I think we match up well with him. Who does scare me is Pickens and Claypool at 6'3" and 6'4", because we have no cornerbacks to guard those big guys. All right. We got a bunch of 5'9", 5'10", 5'11" guys out there.
How about Muth? 6'5". We even got Zach Rader.
Freiermuth. You're talking Freiermuth.
Zach Rader as well as a tight end we utilize. He's 6'8".
Well, yeah, I was strictly talking about our cornerbacks. I mean, obviously the tight ends are going to be lined up with the safeties and linebackers. Him, I wouldn't be that much worried about because we do have Devin McCourty, Jabril Peppers. We have Bentley's a solid coverage linebacker. He's probably more of a red zone goal line threat. But as far as game breakers, I think we're both not evenly matched. You guys obviously have more talent in the receiver position, but neither of us have a game breaker. And I think that's going to make this game very close. I expect our running backs to get a lot more reps. I mean, Damian Harris only getting 9 carries, Ramondre getting 8, I should say. They both should eat though. Um, Damian Harris should be getting around 14 to 15 carries, while Ramondre should stay around that 7 to 9 carries. Um, really, what's going to come down to is I think we're going to stay committed to the run game, because our offensive plan is the run game is going to open up the pass game, open up the play action game, open up the field, open up the field. Now, I do expect Kendrick Bourne to get a lot more reps this game. If he doesn't, then I'm going to be here when we talk on our recaps, and I'm going to say this is BS. All right, but if he's on the field, I think he can open up the field for a Jacoby Myers, a Hunter Henry, and a Jonnu Smith. So for me, I expect it to be very close, just like John. And just like John, I have it a 3-point game, but I have it 23-20. New England Patriots pull it out.
I didn't give my final score. I think 24-20, New England pulls it out. I think Ramondre Stevenson is going to have a pretty big game. Ty Montgomery, I believe, was placed on the IR. So
yeah,
I think Stevenson is going to step in as that third down back. He's going to be that main passing back, receiving back, and I could see Mack and him having a very good connection. Stevenson had some big games last season. I think he reintroduces himself on Sunday against the Steelers.
Yeah.
Ultimately, whoever wins the turnover battle in this one will be the winner. That's my take. And I think Minka had one last week, Akello did, and so did Cortland, or I keep calling him Cortland. Cam Sutton had one, almost 2. One was called back, which shouldn't have been. I'm expecting this week Levi Wallace, a former Buffalo Bill. He's limited with a ankle. I think he gets one, and I also think Cam Sutton gets himself another one. I think Mac Jones is going to look his way, and though he's limited, he's only about 5'10". I think Cam Sutton gets himself.
So you think
1 and
Mac
2.
throws 2 interceptions this game?
I do.
See, you said this game's going to come down to turnovers, and if that's the case, then I'm telling you, I'm betting on Mac Jones over Mitchell Trubisky to not turn the ball over, because we all know about Mitchell Trubisky.
And lastly, dude, Deontay, I think he's going to get shut down. I think Belichick, much like he did with Antonio Brown, is going to take him out of the game. And then Najee is already compromised. But I was saying it before, Muth, I'm expecting him to get into the end zone. And I'm also expecting Chase Claypool, after only scoring 2 TDs last year, to find himself there. Whether it's one of those weird end arounds they're doing, the sweeps with him in the running game, or they just throw him up a fade and he gets one. So I'm expecting 2 TDs from those 2 guys.
Yeah. I all I want to see is Kendrick Bourne on the field. That's it. That's simply what I just want to see him on the field, and I want to see him get targeted. That's it.
I want to see Kendrick Bourne on the field, and I want to see Jacoby Myers catch a touchdown. What are the odds on that?
Probably you're probably favored in that one if you want to plus money there. All right, moving on to game 3. We got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers taking on the New Orleans Saints in New Orleans in that Superdome. Brady, since joining Tampa Bay, 0-4 in the regular season against New Orleans, 1-0 in the playoffs. Brady, 6 touchdowns, 8 interceptions against the Saints team in the regular season. They have sacked Brady at least 3 times in each of the regular season games. Average score of those games, 29-13 in favor of New Orleans. Now, Brady has struggled a lot. Tampa Bay, favored by 2.5, though. So, John, I'm going to kick it to you because I don't know. I mean, you didn't really get to talk about the Saints last week, and I know you wanted to. So tell me your feeling. Is Brady about to walk into there and go 0-5 against the New Orleans Saints this week, or is unfinished business about to be taken care of right now? Talk to me, Goose.
Coming into the season, I had the Saints winning this division. Now, since then, they traded Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. They got Alvin Kamara for the full season, it appears like. Jameis Winston, I think, is the most interesting storyline, though, here, going up against his former team. Keep in mind, last year, Jameis had weeks such as week 1 against the Packers, where he blew out Aaron Rodgers, and we saw some glimpses of what the Saints season could have ended up like. And ultimately, that was cut short by a torn ACL. Now the Saints have all of these weapons to really, and I mean badly, between Michael Thomas, Chris Olave, and Jarvis Landry, who in some ways has been underrated, to make this 5 straight losses for the Buccaneers. But ultimately, I think between Tom Brady and Mike Evans, you look at what Marcus Mariota was able to do against the Saints last week. If it weren't for the Falcons' miraculous ability to blow fourth quarter leads like there's no tomorrow, the Saints would have lost that game. Ultimately, Michael Thomas came through at the end against AJ Terrell. So I think Tom Brady this week will get the win, cutting the Saints down to 1-1. They should have lost last week. It was not a good performance, and especially that secondary, which initially seemed to be impenetrable. There's no weaknesses there. It's starting to show some of its limitations in some ways. So they do have a lot to prove this week after barely being Atlanta last week. A win is a win. I'm not going to take that one away from them. But the Saints really do have to prove themselves. And against TB, and no Chris Godwin, but still, you have Julio, looked really good in week 1. I'm expecting him to run the ball fairly often with Leonard Fournette after he had a big-time week against the Cowboys. Now, against the Saints defensive line, how will they be able, how effective will that be? That remains to be seen. I think ultimately, if Leonard Fournette can get over 85 rushing yards, they should win. Because I think they're going to get him like 15 to 20 carries in this one.
I'll take it here, Justin, then you can round us off. So obviously, as a Tom Brady, guy, that's my guy, that's my quarterback. I can't sit here and argue that he hasn't played good in these Saints games. I mean, the Dennis Allen defense has really had his number since joining Tampa Bay. Godwin is out. Donovan Smith can possibly go, but it really depends on his pain tolerance and how he can deal through that hyperextended elbow. I mean, it's going to be tough if Donovan Smith is out because that, like I said, they've sacked Brady at least 3 times in all their regular season meetings. And we saw last week, the pressure can get to him because that new left tackle, whoever the hell it is, and you've got the young center, those 2 positions right there, little weak. Mike Evans, it's a big game for him because he's been shut down in all 4 of those regular season games. He's got to really show up. Marshawn Lattimore has really taken this guy's lunch money. It's been bad. Like you got it's time you got to have a big game. And while I will say he has been shut down, he did get shut down against the Cowboys last season, but this season he had a pretty good day. So maybe, being that number 1 guy with no Chris Godwin, Brady's going to look to him more, give him real good targets, open targets. So I think Mike Evans can have a good day. I don't know about great. Julio Jones is very familiar with this matchup against the New Orleans Saints, being an Atlanta Falcon basically his whole career. So I think this is a big game for Julio. Russell Gage is going to have to get involved. Scotty Miller maybe gets some targets. Those speedster deep down the field. Brady likes taking those shots, especially before half. Fournette is going to have to get a happy helping of carries this game. He really stepped up and produced big last week. He really looked like that number 4 overall pick that the Jacksonville Jaguars took. I expect him to play well. It's just, and that the Tampa Bay defense, while they played well last week, they're going to have a lot to deal with Michael Thomas and Alvin Kamara and John said Jarvis Landry and Jameis being back. That's going to be a tough matchup, but I'm going to book it. I think I think Brady's the type of guy who does not like to have a team be 0-4 against a certain team, especially since joining Tampa Bay. So I expect him to beat the Saints. And I think this is going to be a tough and physical game, close game. I got it 27-23 Tampa Bay.
It's always so tough for me to bet against Tom Brady. Every week, whenever we're talking about Tom Brady, I'm like, okay, he's a shoo-in for a win. He's a shoo-in for a win. I expect it. And I've been falling into this trap for the last 4 times that he's played against the Saints saying, oh, Brady's got this. Brady's got this. Honestly, this week I'm rolling with New Orleans. I got the Saints winning this one. I think if you look at the last 2 games that he played against the Saints, he went up against Trevor Siemian and Jameis Winston, got beat. His last one, Taysom Hill, got beat. The receivers that were out there, Marquez Callaway, Traquan Smith, it was Alvin Kamara and Mark Ingram as the 4 leading receivers in the last game that went out. This is a Saints team that's healthy and reloaded. You got Jameis Winston back there that's under center. Alvin Kamara and Mark Ingram are still in the backfield. And now you add Michael Thomas, Chris Olave, Jarvis Landry. This team is dangerous. And you cannot sleep on them one bit. And losing Chris Godwin is big trouble for me when I look at Tampa Bay. So I have to stick with New Orleans here. I got them winning 26-21. I think it's going to be another tough one for Tom Brady. The Tampa offense did not look spectacular this past week. I mean, granted, give credit to the Dallas Cowboys defense as much as everybody can make fun of them. They showed up. Micah Parsons showed up. And this is another top 5, top 10 defense that they're going up against. And nonetheless, a top 5, top 10 defense that Brady's continued to have trouble with. So I like New Orleans this week. They're in the big house. So maybe when they go to Tampa Bay, I'd look at it a little bit differently. But I think Brady needs to develop more of a connection. Let's see Julio more in the offense. Let's mesh better. And then Tampa will go on a run. But this is a week where I could see them falling.
So, Justin, I just wanted to ask you a quick question. So you have New Orleans winning this week. So in their second matchup, would you favor Tampa Bay then?
What week? Do you know what week is that their other matchup?
I can look it up real quick. Tampa Bay.
December 5th, 8:15.
In Tampa.
So yeah, in Tampa.
Yeah, I could see that being a good game. I could see Tampa coming away with that one. Chris Godwin, as long as everybody's healthy, I could see that being a Tampa win. I see them splitting this season series.
One thing I do want to bring up is that their last game they played against each other last year was the game that Chris Godwin tore his ACL. And I think it was Malcolm Jenkins that was the safety. And a lot of people thought it was a dirty hit. Even Tom Brady went over to Dennis Allen and was like, pointing at him, cussing him out, saying, you mother effer. He believed that, it was a dirty hit and he, there's no place for that. And I think Tom Brady is going to come with a type of rage. We know he holds grudges. we know he likes, listen, if he's emotional, that's almost a good thing for Tom because he plays out of his mind. He goes into that next level mindset where he is just a different person. I expect, and we got to think this is the first game, no Sean Payton either. Is that going to play a role? We'll see. I can't, like Justin said, that he didn't fall into the trap. There's one guy in sports I don't bet against, and that's Tom Brady. And I'm not going to start betting against him now. So I expect them to have a good game. I think it's going to be sloppy. I think it's going to be tough, like I said, physical, but close one.
Brandon, you talked about Marshawn Lattimore shutting down Mike Evans. And his last 6 matchups versus the Saints, Mike Evans averages 2 receptions, 32 yards, and a touchdown in one of every 3 games. Think about that. 12 total receptions in his last 6 matchups against them. That's pretty crazy.
Lattimore's had his number. He's going to have a big day. And I think being the legit number 1 now, no Chris Godwin, he's going to get a lot more targets. And he's going to have to show up. And I think he can. I really do. He did it last week. I expect another big day from Julio. I think Julio is going to find the end zone this week.
That is the X factor. I think if the Saints win this game, it's because Julio doesn't produce at the level they need him to. I'm expecting Julio to get in the end zone as well. I got the Saints losing to the Buccaneers. We'll go 30-24.
We all have it at least a 1-score game. Very
Justin,
close.
what is your score?
26-21.
Yeah, 1-score game. We all have a 1-score. All right, moving on to the final in-depth breakdown. We're going to have And Justin, I'm going to shoot it to you because I believe you were able to actually catch some of the Ravens Jets game. So you can speak on how Lamar absolutely balled out. So this game is in Baltimore. Baltimore is favored by 3.5. Tell me how you feeling about it.
I think in the first half of the Ravens and Jets game, Baltimore was just shaking off a little bit of rust. I'm not gonna rave about the Jets defense. All right, credits to them. They did a decent job in the first half. But eventually the former MVP showed up and he exploded. And I expect that to happen against Miami. While I do believe that I'm very high on Miami this year, I'm still not high on Tua. So going up against a defense like Baltimore's, I think he'll run into a little bit more trouble. But on the Baltimore offensive side, this is a team that everybody looked at and they asked, where's the number one? Where's the receiver coming from? Who's going to be that guy that's going to step up for Lamar Jackson? But it seems to me that Rashad Bateman, maybe Devin Duvernay, that might be all he needs. He doesn't need the true number one because he himself is the number one option on offense. So teams are so focused on him that whoever's on the outside, it really doesn't matter. As long as Lamar's delivering a good ball, the sky's the limit. And that's exactly what he did. If he's feeding Mark Andrews, if he's feeding Rashad Bateman, I don't know if J.K. Dobbins will be available for this game or not, but you still have Kenyon Drake in the backfield, who's a very capable running back. I'm a big fan of Baltimore. When we talked about our preseason rankings and where we were going to have them stationed, I had them pretty damn high. I believe I had them winning the division. And I believe that carries. I think they start off undefeated for quite a while. I think this Baltimore team is dangerous. Lamar playing for an even bigger contract. He's playing with a little chip on his shoulder. He wants to prove it that, I'm worth more than Kyler Murray. I'm worth more than a lot of these guys out there, which he is. And I think a lot of people need to put some respect on his name. I think Lamar Jackson is going to ball out this Sunday against Miami. And final score, I'll go 31-23.
One thing I do got to say is we didn't get to mention this. Baltimore has this historic streak going on with 23 straight preseason wins. I mean, I know it's not like, it's preseason, but like that's pretty freaking great. Like you're just not losing in the preseason for how many years? Now I will say J.K. Dobbins, Marcus Peters, and Stanley, the tackle, I think are all going to play this week. They were all out last week. Some people questioned and thought it had to do with the terrible Meadowlands turf or grass. I forget what they use out there. And John Harbaugh said it had nothing to do with that, but we're going to see. I think all three of them get to play, and I think obviously all of them are going to be big-time contributors that were missed last week. I don't believe in these Dolphins. I know Justin's high on them. I don't believe in them. I don't believe in Tua. I think the Ravens are going to quote-unquote blow them out, kind of like they did to the Jets game wasn't really close. I know it was 24-9, but it wasn't close really at all. Lamar looked great. 17 of 30, 213 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception, and a 68.1 QBR. And the big thing, only 6 rushes for 17 yards. He's out to prove something. He's out to prove that, he doesn't have an agent anymore. So he's the one having those conversations with the Baltimore front office. And if you guys know anything about those type of conversations, they're going to be real honest with you and tell you what they really think about you. All right. That's where usually the agent comes in and he can, sugarcoat some stuff so you don't really know how they feel. Oh, no, they're going to tell you how they're going to say, oh, no, you're not worth this 200+ million because X, Y, and Z. You can't do this. You still struggle with this. They're not going to focus on your strengths. They're going to attack your weaknesses because this is a business and they're trying to make the best deal possible. So I guarantee he's out to prove something with listen, I can throw the ball with the best of them too. Now, listen, that can either lead to his demise or lead to Lamar Jackson possibly entering a top 5 quarterback conversation, because if he can start throwing the ball at a very consistent and high level, look the hell out. Look out. Now the defense, the Ravens defense has really always been great. It's still very good. 3 sacks, 10 QB hits, 10 QB hits, an interception, and a fumble. last week against I know it was the Jets, but still they showed up. And Marcus Peters coming back. That's going to be a very good cornerback that you plug right in there, especially to go up against Tyreek and Jalen Waddle and that offensive explosion of the Dolphins. Now, last year they did play, and the Dolphins beat the Ravens 22-10. And the Dolphins blitzed Lamar 31 times of his 50 dropbacks. And Lamar and Harbaugh have said that they have worked a lot on that. They realized that there was problems there and there were weaknesses. They attacked those weaknesses. They've tried to turn them into strengths now, and they said they will be ready for the blitzes if they blitz. I think Baltimore is going to be able to pressure Tua a lot more than New England did. I think they're going to get Tua off his spot, and I think Tua is going to turn the ball over a couple times this game. I have the Ravens winning 27-13 or 10.
I do want to remind people last year, the Ravens got off to a really good start. And that Dolphin game, they didn't just beat them. The Ravens got blown out in that one. They were scoring at the end of the game. Lamar was struggling because, like you said, the Dolphins were blitzing, sending the heat, and the team couldn't really pick it up. This is a prove-it game for Lamar. You had a great game versus the Jets last week, and that really doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. In spite of the Jets making some good additions and TJ Reed, Ahmad Sauce Gardner, this is one of those teams where they're a playoff team, and heck, many people are not reporting, but there's the impression that Lamar could go back home to Miami next year if he doesn't figure things out with the Ravens. He wants the most money possible, and as you said, Brandon, the Ravens are trying to get the best deal on a guy whose running style is his biggest strength. I'm expecting a big day from Mark Andrews. I think, like you said, last week only 6 rushes for Lamar. He's trying to show as a passer he is one of the better throwers of the football in the whole league. Do I think that? I think he's trending toward that area. I think he's still not quite an above average thrower, but this is one of those games where if you can sling it around against a above average Dolphins defense and you can win this game starting off 2-0, you're at home. I really think Lamar this week has a lot to show. And just generally speaking, I think he's going to win comeback player of the year. So I think this is one of those weeks. If he throws for 280 and they win the game, it's going to get him on a good note. Point him up there as Saquon Barkley for that award.
So, John, did you give your final score for the game?
I'll go Baltimore 24-21.
So, Justin, I forgot. Did you give Baltimore the win or Miami?
Yeah, 31-23 Baltimore.
All right, so we all got Baltimore. Yeah, I think Baltimore's going to punch this Dolphins team in the face.
I could see Lamar rushing for 100 yards in this one. This might be one of those classic big Lamar games. I could definitely see that happening. And I want to see it too. I'm pumped to see Lamar this season.
Over-under will go. Over-under.
But,
if you think he's getting 100, we'll go 9.5 carries. Do you think he gets more than that to get 100?
I'll give him 11.
Right at 9.
I don't see it. I really just, especially against this defense as well. I don't think he's really we're gonna see him often this year taking more than 9 carries. If he gets 100, obviously there's gonna be a big play somewhere in there.
Mm-hmm.
Will the Dolphins defense get it up? But I'm also excited to see what Mike McDaniel does against an even better opponent than the New England Patriots. This Ravens offense, they don't have any receivers, and they didn't go out and get one this last offseason. Mark Andrews is their offense. Him and Lamar had that connection, and then you just put Rashad Bateman and stuff around them, and it'll work.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we wrapped up on the in-depth games. Now we're going to go to the NFL Pick'em of the week. Me and John finished the week last week at 6-9, while Justin was in first place at 8-7. I'm hoping to have a better week this week. So let's kick it right off. First one, the New York Jets versus the Cleveland Browns in Cleveland. Cleveland is favored by 6.5. I will take the Cleveland Browns to win that game. I just think Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt are going to go absolutely off.
I'm taking the New York Jets this weekend. Listen, I finished in first place. I had a couple upsets, and I'm going to stick by my heart. I think the new little creepy elf that Cleveland put in the middle of their field is going to be bad juju. I got the Jets coming out there with a win.
I do agree that's bad juju, but Miles Garrett and Denzel Ward will be occupying that weird little elf. So I had the Browns taking this affair rather convincingly.
Yeah. Justin thinks he's Bill Belichick now, just gonna throw out these wild predictions and be like, if it works, it's all the genius.
And let's not act like you had a good week either. All of us had horrible weeks.
Yeah, you
just
were
had
one
the
game
I
least
was
over
above
bad
500.
You were one game over 500.
I
I
get
was
too
above
excited.
500.
I just had a horrible week. I picked
All
the
right.
wrong upsets. That's all.
All right, next game, the Washington Commanders versus the Detroit Lions in Detroit. Detroit is 0-1. The Commanders are 1-0. The Lions are favored by 1.5. I'm going to take the Detroit Lions. I love what the Detroit Lions are doing. I think the Jaguars showed that the Commanders can give up leads late in the fourth. They had a chance to come back and win the game. I think Detroit is built for that. We saw what they did against Philly, scoring how many points in the last quarter of the game and almost winning it. I love DC, Dan Campbell. So give me Detroit.
Detroit is better than people think. Carson Wentz versus Jared Goff, the former number 1, number 2 overall pick in the 2016 draft. Little do we know, a guy from Mississippi State in the 4th round be the best out of the 3. I do have the Lions winning for those very reasons. I think Jared Goff will have a good game, and Carson Wentz is not taking this in the road.
Yeah, I'm with you guys. This is a clean sweep. We're all going Detroit here. I still have this one highlight of Jared Goff throwing an absolute dime to DJ Chark in the end zone. Beautiful ball. Jared Goff looks good. Detroit Lions are playing motivated and hungry, and I expect them to take a bite out of the Commanders this weekend.
Where exactly?
Right.
Both kneecaps or just one?
All right. Next up, one of my games of the week, the Carolina Panthers versus the New York Giants in New York, Meadowlands. New York is favored by 2.5. No, they're favored by 2 points now. You know who I'm going with. My boy Baker. Carolina is going to beat these Giants. He got robbed last week. We all saw it. We all know what happened. He's not getting robbed this week. He's going to take him down. Daniel Jones is going to play like crap like he did last week. Let's go. Baker Mayfield, Carolina Panthers, going to 1-1.
Carolina's not stopping Saquon Barkley. I had the Giants going 2-0 to start the season. Saquon should have 100 yards again. And if Kadarius Toney got some reps, I could see him getting the end zone as well. So I have the Giants taking this one 24-17.
The Giants.
I don't think Daniel Jones played like crap last weekend.
He did.
Obviously, he can be better. I got the balls of steel, and the Giants are going to come out there, win their home game. I think Giants fans are riding high, and they're going to take that momentum into Sunday against your boy Baker.
See, you say he didn't play like crap, but let's quickly. I mean, I know he did. He completed 17 to 21, but only 188 yards. He had 2 turnovers. He was sacked 5 times. His QBR was 25.8. He played like crap last week. Saquon carried that team.
He was good enough to win it like Baker. Moving on.
That's
sure.
my
He
point.
got robbed. We all saw he got robbed.
That's my point.
Okay. Next up, this is a tough match. Oh boy, are the Colts in danger zone? I think this is possibly a must-win for them.
The lights are being down.
Yep. Here we go. The Indianapolis Colts, who I believe Justin had is top 5 teams in the league, if I'm not mistaken, taking on the Jacksonville Jaguars, who Justin is also very high on too. So this is going to be a conundrum for Justin. It's in Jacksonville. Indy's favored by 4. You know what, Justin? I'm going to kick it to you for this game. Give me your prediction.
This is tough.
This is a tough one. This is like choosing between your favorite kids.
This is a tough one. The Colts really don't win much in Jacksonville.
Nope.
Jacksonville didn't look all too bad last weekend. They should have won that game against the Commanders, in my opinion. But I'm going to say better is better, and I'm going to roll with the Colts. I think Matt Ryan and the boys, they get it. They turned this ship around. It was an ugly week 1 that they should have won, and I think they do the thing right, and they win this game.
Yeah, and I forgot to mention Blankenship, their kicker. They kicked him out the door. They said, "See ya, forget about it. You're done. Nothing you can do about it." So I like Jacksonville a lot. You know, I'm a Trevor Lawrence guy. I picked the Colts to win this division, and if they're going to win this division, this is a must-win game for them. They got to come out on top. I know they haven't won in Jacksonville since like 2015 or 16, I think the stat is, but this is a must-win game for them. The Colts need to win, so I'm going to pick the Colts, and I'm going to put my trust in Jonathan Taylor to, go ham, as the kids say. Do they say that anymore? They don't say that anymore, do they?
So the Colts signed Chase McLaughlin as their one of their 2 kickers to the practice squad. I expect him to be kicking for them this week. Look, that was a rough one for Rodrigo Blankenship and co. Not a good day for his camp. But look, the Colts are not going to start the first 2 weeks winless. This is a tough game in the heat. It's going to be a close one. I'm thinking Trevor Lawrence will have one of his best games of the season in this one. He's going to show out, but ultimately, I'm putting my faith in Jonathan Taylor and Matt Ryan.
All right.
Not a bad thing.
Moving on. Huh?
Not a bad thing. I
Not a
took
bad
my
thing.
faith in them.
All right. Next up, another must-win game for a team. The Atlanta Falcons taking on the Los Angeles Rams. Sorry. In LA, the Rams are favored by, let's see if it's still the same thing. Yep, still 10.5 points. I have the Rams winning. I penciled them in when we did our recap. I said this is a must-win game. They have to win, and they're going to win. Matthew Stafford's going to show up. Cooper Kupp is going to be Cooper Kupp. I expect Allen Robinson to get more targets and get involved early and often. I expect the defense to play a lot better. Jalen Ramsey, your ass better start showing the hell up as an elite number 1, best in the world cornerback. So, yeah, I got the Los Angeles Rams. They need to win this game.
When in doubt, I'm putting my faith in Sean McVay. This is a trap game, but I think we'll have the Rams ready. And I'm expecting this to be a blowout, honestly. I'll go 34-6, the Rams.
So you
But the
get them to
Falcons
cover.
The Falcons are better than people think, but I think Mariota will have a rough week against Aaron Donald.
Are you guys ready to shoot me?
You're not picking them.
I might be.
I'll be honest.
If you pick Atlanta, I'm taking a bet with you right now. And if you don't take it, then you're switching your pick because you don't have the courage of your conviction. So be prepared what you're about to say.
I'll be very honest with you guys. Much like what John said, I do believe this Atlanta Falcons team is better than what people think. The Rams had an ugly one in week 1. The pressure is kind of on to just prove that, okay, week 1 was a fluke. So I think when you're playing on edge, when you're playing rough, you're prone to make mistakes.
Don't do it.
Prone to make mistakes.
Atlanta's defense isn't good. Don't do it.
I know Atlanta's defense isn't good. But ultimately, I do think the Rams will pull this one out. It'll be a close one. It'll be a scary one.
You see what he did there? He changed. He changed his pick midway.
He knew I was going to take him up to his bet. I was going to make him put his money where his mouth was.
I'm
not doing it.
The way you worded that, you had the Falcons initially.
No, I wanted to just to annoy you guys, but no, I do think it'll be a close one. I don't think it's going to be a blowout. I think Atlanta's going to scare them a little bit.
There's a chance. I think it'll be close early, but then I think, late in the second quarter, in the second half, the Rams are going to pull away. All right, moving on to the next game. The Shockers, the guys who got the revenge, the Seattle Seahawks are taking on the San Francisco 49ers. Who would have thought going into week 2, we would say Seattle is 1-0 and the 49ers are 0-1, especially with the teams they played in week 1. You guys are very high on the Niners. I think you both have them in your top 5 teams in the NFL before the season started that we did. It's in San Francisco. San Francisco is favored by 8.5 points. The 49ers need to win this game. I got the 49ers winning. Now homeboy is out. Elijah Mitchell, he is out. He's on IR. So the other running backs are going to have to step up. Kyle Shanahan the Shanahans in general are usually really great just taking a running back off the street and saying, yo, go get us 100 yards now. Hopefully George Kittle can play. Debo and Brandon Ayuk are still there. The defense is still legit. I think Seattle falls back to earth and the 49ers win this game.
Yeah, I'm with you on the 49ers. This is a big get-right game. While I was surprised to see how good Seattle played this past weekend, I'm going to roll with San Francisco. I think it was just an ugly way to get started. The conditions there in Chicago were a rough one. Not exactly how you want to throw your young quarterback into the fire there. This should be a much better game. You're at home, playing in front of your home fans. I think San Francisco gets right this week. We see a better version of Trey Lance.
Seattle had their Super Bowl. They had that date circled on their calendar for what felt like half a year now. With all that being said, Kyle Shanahan's going to have his boys way more disciplined after penalties killed them last week. Won't be playing him on soon. No Elijah Mitchell hurts. Jeff Wilson did not look good. But with that being said, I'm expecting Trey Lance to have a strong week. After people were hating on the kid after his first real start a week ago, I think he was fine. He'll do great this week against Seattle. Don't worry about it. Seattle's not winning.
Yeah, hopefully it's a better condition so we can actually really get a good look at what Trey Lance is about. Because
So we can
I
actually
don't
throw
even
the football. Yeah.
Yeah, I throw that game week 1 out the window because listen, Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers wouldn't have looked good in that weather. It was just, I mean, Peyton Manning is historically bad at bad
We'll let
weather
Bears
games.
fans have it.
Yeah, we'll let them have their one little win. You're still number 1 pick, number 2 pick bound, buddy. So
Well, according to the comments, they're overly talented, I was hearing. So
yeah,
we'll see.
sure. All right, next up, the Dallas Cowboys taking on the Cincinnati Bengals. Both teams 0-1. It's in Dallas. Cincy is favored by 7.5. No Dak Prescott. Cooper Rush is the starting quarterback. Cincinnati Bengals got to win this game after losing a tough one last week to John's Pittsburgh Steelers. I expect them to win. Yeah, I got Cincinnati taking this game. Sorry, Dallas, but this is just, you had a tough start, and now with no Dak, it's going to be even tougher.
Can you imagine the unspeakable things Micah Parsons may do this week against this Bengals offensive line? I mean, he is an otherworldly talent, and what I saw last week against Cam Hayward, T.J. Watt, and Alex Highsmith didn't give me a whole lot of confidence. I'm expecting Micah to have a couple of sacks. He's going to get a Defensive Player of the Year race off strong, but with that being said, I think the Bengals will still win this one defensively.
I think we're gonna watch Trayvon Diggs turn into absolute toast this weekend with Jamar Chase going up at him. I got Cincinnati, and I don't really have it being pretty close.
All right, so you have them covering that 7.5, probably, Justin. All right, moving on to next week. Another shocker: the Houston Texans, that's John's low-key second favorite team. They didn't get a win, but they didn't get a loss, so they can hang their head on that one. The Denver Broncos are another team in kind of must-win territory. I don't know the stat off the top of my head, but 0-2 teams do not have a good chance of making the playoffs. So they need to start off the season. They need to get their footing together now. It's in Denver. They're favored by, let's see if it's still correct. Yep, still favored by 10 points. I got Denver winning. I think they can't lose this game, so I got Denver.
I got Denver in a blowout.
Yeah.
What's up,
If
Jen?
you do it again, I'm going to hold you to your fire. So just
Then do it. I'm rolling with Houston, man.
All right, well, we taking the bet then?
I think Houston is gonna come away and steal this one in Mile High.
Could you imagine
They
putting
play-
your money on Rex Burkhead?
Bro, first off, Rex Burkhead is no slouch. He is no slouch. The boy runs hard. Call me naive, call me nuts. But you know what? I'm rolling with Houston. I think this is going to be another upset. I think Denver Broncos still have a lot to get fixed, and Houston is going to expose them.
So you're taking that bet, Justin?
What's the bet?
I got Broncos. You got Texans.
Nah, I got Houston. I put it right there in my pick 'em. Ain't nothing
All right,
changed.
let's do it. All right, next up, the Las Vegas Raiders versus the Arizona Cardinals. Both teams 0-1, looking for a win this year. It's in Las Vegas. Vegas is favored by 5.5. Both defenses can be had, but I'll take Las Vegas's offense over Arizona's right now with no D-Hop. I'll take Vegas, but I think it's going to be a close game, maybe like 28-25, something like that. Vegas.
Last week, or whenever our last episode was, I said the Raiders were an overhyped team. With that being said, I think Max Crosby will either him or Chandler Jones have a big time game. I think Kyler is going to get hit often. And with that being said, I don't know if anyone can really stop Devontae Adams. So I do with the Raiders winning a close one. Go 27-21. So I'm not sure if they'd cover. I think so.
I just sneezed. But
Bless you.
Thank you. I see this being a big Darren Waller game, honestly. So I'm going to roll with the Raiders. I think they clean up the messes. You're not going to see Derek Carr turn over the ball as much as he did that game. I think he'll clean it up. I think you'll see Hunter Renfrow get more involved. Devontae will have a big game. But most of all, I see this being kind of like a shootout. I see See the Raiders putting up plus 30 on these guys. Like I told you, this Arizona defense is going to be historically bad.
All right. Sunday night football in the frozen tundra. Another one. Who would have thought we would have said the Chicago Bears are 1-0 and the Green Bay Packers are 0-1 in week 2. It's in Green Bay, like I said. Green Bay is favored by 10 points. I'm taking Green Bay. I don't think they start off 0-2. I think the Bears, you had your fun in the not even the sun, your fun in the rain in week 1. Now it's time to come crashing back to reality. Aaron Rodgers, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, he said you know what he said to you guys. He effing owns you. All right, so you're ready to get put back into your place, Aaron freaking Rodgers.
The biggest concern this week is the Packers defensive coordinator, Joe Barry. I have no idea what he was doing last week against the Vikings, but whatever it was, clearly and apparently was terrible. He needs to figure it out. He has a top 7 defense on paper, and it's an embarrassment they lost that game, at large part to him. I think this week he's going to have an easy matchup, but even still, the Packers don't win this one. He will be the reason to blame, I believe. Got the Packers winning, but look out for that defense, man. Not having Jair Alexander one-on-one and Justin Jefferson made no sense, and the way he was utilizing the linebackers as well, not blitzing off enough, was really confusing. So I'm hoping this week that he puts together a halfway decent game plan against this rushing attack. I think that the Bears are going to try to get going early, and if he doesn't, then it might be time to signal the alarm.
And hopefully Bakhtiari and Jenkins are playing.
So this is another game that I kind of wrestle with here. After watching that week 1 game with the Packers and seeing how rough they looked on offense, this is the exact kind of game that the Bears, I feel, can take advantage of. I don't feel like they will, but I think it'll be a close one. I got Green Bay taking this one 20-17. By the way, rain is in the forecast for that one.
In the thing, Green Bay. Wow. All right. Next up, we got the Tennessee Titans versus the Buffalo Bills in Buffalo. Buffalo is favored by 10 points. And yeah, I think Buffalo is going to win. Titans are progressing, and yeah, I got the Bills.
Yeah, this is a smackdown for me. I'm going Buffalo by a landslide. I think Josh Allen continues to his MVP campaign.
It's a trap game, fellas.
Oh, he's taking the Titans.
The last 2 times these teams matched up, the Titans won. Now, will that happen a third time when the Bills are the much better team? I'm not going that far, but I do think people are low on the Titans after an embarrassing Week 1 loss. But Derrick Henry is still there. They're going to throw the ball around to different guys. But at the end, the Bills are winning this one. Just watch out. Derrick Henry is an absolute game changer. That's all I'm going to say.
So that was the first game on Monday Night Football. I forgot to say that was the Monday Night Football game. And the second game, because we got 2 games on Monday night this week. Second game is Minnesota Vikings versus the Philadelphia Eagles in Philadelphia. You can catch this game on ABC or ESPN Plus. Philly's favored by 2 points. I got Philly winning. We know how Kirk Cousins falls apart in primetime games, and yeah, I just think Philly's going to win. A couple things to look out for is Derek Barnett is on IR for Philly, so that might be a question mark, but I still think Philly's going to get it done.
This is a great matchup. I'm going with Philly in a thriller. I think Kirk Cousins is going to step up big time, but at the end, I think, as I say, you win in the trenches, and the Eagles' defensive front is a better one. So I'm excited, man. This could be the second best game of the week, and I'm looking forward to see how Jalen Hurts does.
This one should be an absolute shootout. This should be the A.J. Brown, Justin Jefferson show. I think we're going to see big-time numbers from both quarterbacks, whether it be from Jalen Hurts on the ground and in the air, and Kirk Cousins just slinging the ball. Adam Thielen wasn't as involved last week. I see him playing a big role this time. I could see them going into Philadelphia and actually stepping up and winning this game. I got Minnesota.
All right, so that covers our NFL breakdowns and predictions for week 2. One last thing, John, would you like to take a bet on the New England Patriots and Pittsburgh Steelers game?
Let's do it.
All right, first bet for me and Johnny Boy.
Yes, sir.
I got Pats. He's got his Pittsburgh Steelers. All right, so moving right along, we're going to jump to a different sport, the NBA. All right, we're gonna I know we're in the midst of the NFL season has just started, but people, the NBA is right around the corner. Next month in October, we're gonna be starting off. We got great games to kick off the season. Can't wait for those. But we're gonna go week by week, and we're gonna rank slash break down a little bit the divisions of the NBA. This week, we are gonna start with the Southeast Division. So how do you guys want to do this? Do you guys want to each of us give our rankings, or
So my plan was we're gonna go from 1 to 5. So we'll start with,
yeah?
of course, Washington. I hope will be number 5 for all of them. I'm playing.
Okay,
I
gotcha.
do
So
I do like to hate on Washington. But we'll go that way, I think.
all right, so you wanna talk about each team. Okay, so I hope the consensus is the number one team in this is the Miami Heat, right?
What?
We're talking about
Hornet?
the Southeast Division, right?
Yeah.
That's Miami, Atlanta, Charlotte, Washington, Orlando.
Uh-oh.
You don't think Charlotte's gonna win this?
Are we being serious right now? Or are you guys freaking joking
No,
right now?
I'm just getting
Oh,
loose.
Oh,
okay,
I was
okay.
about to say, well, what is going on?
I
I'm
was like,
playing
what are
around
we
with you.
doing right
I'm
now?
testing your guard a little bit. I do have
Okay.
the Miami Heat as the best team in this division, so we'll start off with the Heat.
Yeah, let's kick it off. Go ahead, John.
So, Brandon, you're a big time fan of this team. The prevailing
Yeah.
storyline after last year was they were inches, literally just a couple
Yep.
feet to a little bit further back into the
Inches.
net.
Yep.
They go to the NBA Finals. And when you have Jimmy Butler, a proven playoff superstar, people love to count Miami out. But the coaching, the star talent, and the defense is what makes them a proven contender. There is concern for regression, though. You lose a key starter in PJ Tucker, who had a career year offensively with the squad last year, and you're not necessarily replacing him with a forward who really fits into this defense. I mean, PJ was a tremendous fit, and with the physicality, the attention to detail, communication, all those things, has a cumulative effect for Miami, which made them one of the 3 or 4 best squads, in spite of injuries, reign over their year again in 2022. I think ultimately for them, the key X factor is Tyler Hero. 2 straight years in the postseason, you just don't get a performance that you need. He is the main scorer of this group from the perimeter, his dynamic one-on-one creation. He not necessarily gains the rim a lot, but he can create from the perimeter, and his ball handling coinciding with the pull-up shooting is what this Heat team has sort of lacked. We've seen it for a long time now. They haven't had enough of. And the playoffs, what it ultimately comes down to is winning players like a Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, Jason Tatum, and Jalen Brown now are seeing. I think the issue here is people don't know if the injuries last year is why Tyler Hero had a second down year in the playoffs, or simply he isn't good enough or developed enough just yet. I think ultimately, when you're betting on Tyler Hero, you're going to be disappointed. The kid's a heck of a talent, but when you're going up against Boston and Milwaukee with their improvement, Milwaukee has even more depth now and the best player in the league. I think the Heat this year are going to win a lot of games in the regular season. I'm expecting them to hit 50 wins again. But ultimately in the playoffs, this is a super tough conference. Philadelphia now has PJ Tucker. I just talked about the Bucks and the Celtics. And there are many other teams like the Raptors and Cavaliers that are going to test teams to go to the second round. But I just want to get that out there. Do you guys think we should be concerned about regression this year?
Um, I'll go since I'm the Miami Heat ambassador of the show. Uh, I was pretty disappointed in Tyler Hero's performance. I've already talked to, I think I've mentioned it to both of you guys off camera that I'm off on Tyler Hero now. I really think this guy. I don't think winning affects him as much as it does, say, like a Jimmy Butler or a Bam Adebayo. I think this kid is, as long as he's getting paid, I think he's going to be happy. And I don't like that type of attitude on a team, especially in the Heat culture. Um, yeah, I'm really angry we weren't able to get him off our team for a big time player like a Donovan Mitchell. Um, we're gonna have to make a move, or we're going to get left behind in this race. So I expect. I mean, Tyler Hero. Either we're such in a conundrum because if we don't trade him at the trade deadline, then we're either going to lose him in the offseason for nothing, or we're going to have to sign him to a max rookie extension, which I don't think he deserves. And then we're going to have to keep him for what, like, I think, what is it, 3 months, 90, however long the restriction is. And then we can't trade him until after that. and now he's got a big contract, so people are even more weary about trading for him. So it's just we have to trade him by the trade deadline if we're going to get rid of him, and I hope we do. I hope we can land a big time player, because we're all we are away is one big time player to get next to Jimmy Butler to really take that load off of him. A real score guy. Like, defensively, we're fine, but we need that elite scorer that can go get us a bucket. But I still expect us to be the number one team in this division.
Yeah, I don't think too much changes in this division. I think Miami's still the team to beat here, but I don't think the Atlanta Hawks are too far behind them. I really don't think so. I think if Atlanta really does mesh with Murray and Trae Young and everybody is healthy there, I really think that Atlanta can contend for this division crown. Now, I don't know if Miami wins 50 games. I think this is going to be a year of regression. Like you mentioned earlier, that the Eastern Conference is no joke. This is not LeBron's Eastern Conference anymore. So there's a lot to contend for. And quite frankly, I don't see Miami as the top dog. I don't see them as a top 3 player in this conference at the moment. So while, yes, I do have them finishing first in their division, Atlanta is creeping up right behind them. And if Atlanta does step it up big time, I wouldn't be surprised if Atlanta surpasses them.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about Atlanta, so do you want to jump right into Atlanta now, the second team, or?
I do want to add one last thing for the Heat. The reinforcements came partially in the draft. They took an offensive first type of forward, and Nikola Jovic. I compare him to Dario Saric a little bit of the Phoenix Suns with the 27th overall pick. He's not really a Heat culture kind of guy. I do wonder on this team, he is a bigger wing that can pass pretty well and has shown some shooting upside, but it's not very efficient yet off the dribble. I don't think he's really going to play right away. And I think the biggest concern, like I talked about before, Tyler Hero, he wants to be paid more than RJ Barrett or Jordan Poole. This kid wants, $30+ million a year. And you both know, Pat Riley's made comments, he hasn't done enough to prove to be a starter yet. I mean, this isn't the next James Harden. To me, I think his ceiling is a CJ McCollum. I think physically, as a 6'4" guard, he's a very poor defender. He can get beat up, and he fits terrible in the scheme that they're trying to build, particularly with Duncan Robinson. You almost can't play those two guys together on the floor because of their limitations. If you're not going to pay Tyler Hero and you want to move him because this is your best trade asset to get a star, ultimately, I'm afraid they're going to have to poison pill him, where they give him an extension and they can find some line, maybe $27 million a year, and then no team out there really wants him because Tyler Hero is a good six-man, but I don't view him as a starter for $26 million. I think the issue is exactly that for Miami.
Yeah, I completely agree. I'm down on Tyler Hero. I was big on him, but I've just seen too much not good stuff from him that I'm just like, I don't believe in this kid's intangibles as much. So yeah, moving on to the second place team. I think me and Justin are in the same place. I don't know if John is, but I think the Atlanta Hawks are in the second place in this division. I think adding DeJounte Murray, they instantly got better. It's going to be interesting how it fits because DeJounte and Trae Young are both kind of players who need the ball in their hands. But I think they'll be able to figure it out. And while they'll be a viable contender in the East, and by what I mean by that is like they'll be like a 6th or 7th seed, something like that, but I don't expect them to beat one of the top tier teams.
You want the big difference and why they're definitely not going to win? I think the ceiling with this team is 45. And ultimately, Nate McMillan, he had a heck of a run as the interim to end 2021 with this team. But when you compare him to an Eric Spoelstra, I say this with a lot of veteran coaches. We know what Nate McMillan is. He's a fine coach that has gotten better following his time in a couple of stops and then last in Indiana. But he's like the 24th best coach in the league. So you're looking at a guy that's probably on the move, and you go all in on DeJounte Murray and Trae Young, which is a really good backcourt because now if you double team Trae Young, you get one of the best slashers and all around passers at the same position. And then defensively, much worse than Tyler Hero, Trae Young is a liability. I mean, he can't do anything on that end of the floor. Now you put alongside him DeJounte Murray, DeAndre Hunter, who they're hoping could be a high-level 3-and-D wing, John Collins, who is a fine, switchable defender, and Clint Capella at the 5. You're surrounding Trae Young with the right pieces. John Collins is the perfect fit with him at power forward. The athleticism, three-point shooting, and finishing. What does Trae Young need? A guy that can pop out, knock down shots, and most of all, get offensive rebounds and put back slams. But John Collins may not even be here. I think there's a little bit of instability with this team. When you look at their third best player, and beyond that, even DeJounte Murray in 2 years could be gone. I'm excited to see how this Hawks lineup looks when the season starts, but I think there was a clear cap on this group in the postseason. And ultimately, while they made a lot of nice moves, I'm still expecting this to be a first-round exit. And the main reason why is their key X factor in DeAndre Hunter. He was taken with the 4th overall pick they traded up to get. And outside of some sparks in the second season, he hasn't stayed healthy and really doesn't do anything well. He's kind of I wouldn't even call him a jack of all trades. He's an all right shooter, can shoot off the dribble. He's got good size. He's a solid to above average defender, but he can't rebound. He can't stay healthy. Not much of a slasher. I don't know if DeAndre Hunter is really the wing player in this conference that's going to be staying healthy and guarding a Jason Tatum well. But ultimately, that's what they're counting on.
Yeah, as I said, I do believe that Atlanta Hawks definitely improved this offseason. I already said that they're going to contend with Miami for this divisional crown. But do I think they're good enough? No. As I've said before, they're not championship level material. I still believe them even getting to the conference finals a few years back was kind of just luck all hitting all at once. A lot has to go right for them to find themselves back in that scenario. I just don't think it's now. Maybe they're a piece or two away, but as the way the roster is currently constructed, while you have your awesome pieces in Trae Young, Murray, and Capella, I've always been a big fan of John Collins, but it never felt like Atlanta was truly a big fan of John Collins. So it's remains to be seen what exactly their relationship will be going into the season and how it'll play out, because right now they could be doing well and then come mid-season they might be looking to ship him out. So we'll just see where Atlanta will be at, but I still have them finishing second.
I do agree with you, Justin. This segment has mostly been negative because this team has a lower ceiling than most. If there was one player in the league that can make Atlanta, with that just one move, a real threat in the Eastern Conference, can you think of one? Because I have one that I'm sure so many Hawks fans have seen in Photoshops already. And he's not being traded, unfortunately. But 7 months ago, people thought he would. Not 7. About 9 months ago. His name is Jaylen Brown. He's from Atlanta. That's exactly what this team needs. An athletic, do-it-all wing that you can store next to Trae. I'm of the belief that Young is a top 5 offensive player in the league. He is such a spectacular passer, and his vision and pull-up shooting makes him one of the 3 best point guards in the game. But with his defensive limitations, you got to put him with one of those wing players who's truly elite at what he does. And this team is desperately lacks that right now. I think outside of Jaylen Brown, the next best option, it would be like a Brandon Ingram. And unfortunately for them, those guys aren't on the market. But at the end of the day, this will be a playoff team. They will be fun to watch in the regular season. Do you guys think Nate McMillan's a coach after this year? Because I don't think so.
I think they can improve on the coaching. Yeah.
I think if they improve this season, Nate McMillan is still in the fold. It really just depends on what they do in the postseason.
Yeah, I think so. This is where it ends for me. I think Miami and Atlanta are going to make the playoffs, but this is where it ends for the Southeast Division. I don't think the other 3 teams make the playoffs. Maybe Charlotte gets a play-in, gets in the play-in tournament, but yeah, number 3, I got the Charlotte Hornets. They got a lot of work to do. Especially losing one of their young talented pieces because he's being a, lack of a better word, an asshole of a human being. And Michael Jordan has not been a very good owner. Or he's the owner, right? Or is he he's the GM and owner, or just the owner?
He's the face / owner, but the GM is Mitch Kupchak, the former Lakers guy.
Oh my God, another Kupchak. Yeah, they haven't been very good at drafting for his tenure. They hit big time on LaMelo Ball, who I think is very special and is going to be a superstar in this league. Will it be on the Charlotte Hornets? I doubt that. I think he's going to leave for greener pastures in a bigger market where he actually belongs. Boy, wouldn't it be freaking phenomenal if that was Miami. Um, but yeah, I see them finishing third in this division and not really making any noise. So yeah,
Justin, I don't know about you. I have Charlotte finishing last.
I do too.
This
I'm
is
with you. I know exactly where you're going with number 3, and I'm with you on it.
the
I've seen
Hornets.
enough of your videos.
I love it. You're my man. The Hornets are the most exciting team in this division. Last year, they're so much fun. And when you have Eric Collins in the broadcast and Dell Curry, I could listen to games all day long. It's a joy to watch LaMelo. And Miles Bridges, as you alluded to, Brandon, heck of a young talent. But unfortunately, we can't really focus on that anymore. Um, I don't want to see him. I don't want to talk about him in the NBA. I'm just not really comfortable. But with LaMelo Ball, I feel bad for the kid. I really do, because I look at a team in the Orlando Magic who are getting so much young talent and really making moves that actually support their talents. LaMelo Ball is one of the best lob passers, one of the best and most intuitive creators in live action. And instead of going out to upgrade and get an actual starting center, they draft Mark Williams out of Duke, who's an unfinished product. And I would have liked to see them go out and get a more NBA ready made one for him. I look at the Orlando Magic, like I said before, you have the best scorer in the draft with some otherworldly passing potential for a forward, playing next to Franz Wagner and Wendell Carter Jr. This Orlando team this year is going to surprise a lot of people. I think most are expecting them to be in the mid 20s in games or in wins. I'm expecting them to win upwards to 35. They're going to have one of the better forward tandems, I think, immediately between Wagner, a ready made talent, and Paulo, who I think is the best player from this draft class. Now in the backcourt, Markelle Fultz, who was really good last year in his minutes, limited minutes because he was on a restriction, is going to have a full offseason to improve and not just recover from injury. And now he gets to build some chemistry with those forwards in the lineup. This team's going to get out and transition, man. I'm telling you, they're going to be the second most fun team here. Because you also got to keep in mind Jalen Suggs, who is a really good defender. He just needs to work on his shooting and his feel as a lead guard. And then Cole Anthony coming off the bench as a sixth man. I think Orlando, like I said before, will have a really solid defense. Won't be top 10, but I think it will be top 15. And Jamal Mosley this year is going to get a lot of development out of these forwards. And ultimately, man, I think Paolo Banchero will take home Rookie of the Year. There's a lot of perimeter creation here between Wagner, Cole Anthony, and Markelle Fultz. And Fultz can't really shoot it, but he's one of the most innate passers around the rim and finishers. He is so underrated, and so many people have forgotten about Markelle Fultz. But that kid is one of the most unique talents at the point guard position. And I'm excited to watch him this year prove everybody wrong that forgot about him. Because now that he's not number one overall pick in the city of brotherly love, no one's got to pay attention. And this is the exact place where he's going to prove himself as starting PG. So I'm hyped, man. I'm really looking forward to this Orlando Magic team.
What I love about the Orlando Magic right now is they're just going into the season playing with house money. Their two oldest players are Terrence Ross and Gary Harris, Terrence being 31, Harris 28. Everybody else is 26 or younger. Everybody that they're building around, 22, 19, 21. This is potential. And I used to laugh at Orlando and say, man, this is such a mid team. They're not going anywhere. But now I'm thinking about my overuse of the word mid. And I look at all the teams under them where I have Charlotte and Washington right under them. But I like what Orlando's building. Like I said, playing with house money, just going out there, just looking to improve. Not saying, yo, we're not going out there to win the NBA Finals. No, we're looking to take a step in the right direction. And I love that thought process because you're taking little steps. It's about the little things that help you improve. And they're doing that. And with these pieces, once they learn how to mesh, not only can this team, like you say, win 35 plus games, but in 2-3 years, the sky's the limit. If Franz turns into the player that we all expect him to be, I love Cole Anthony as a point guard. Very good player. Markelle Fultz really finding himself after the crazy way his career started. And then Paolo, it's left to be seen what he will be in the NBA, but all the signs are leading to something promising. So I like what Orlando has. They're building a young core. While all these teams are getting older, Orlando just seems to be getting younger and better. So I'm rolling with Orlando finishing third.
So,
Do you want to jump in on the Hornets so we can kind of coalesce with these two teams?
yeah, my next team is Orlando Magic on the list, but you guys talk about the Hornets if you want to. Go ahead, John.
So, could you imagine having the second longest playoff drought in the NBA, and you hire a coach in Kenny Atkinson to fully utilize the young talent on a roster? LaMelo, initially, Miles Bridges, James Bouknight, and a few others. And then he says, no, I'm actually going to stay in Golden State. We just won a title. I'd rather be over here. And your backup option is the coach you fired. The last one to bring you to the playoffs. Steve Clifford is a very solid defensive coach, and I think he was deserving of another head coaching opportunity for sure. He's a great leader, players like him, and I honestly think he's in that tier of the Tom Thibodeau's where he's respectable, not quite one of the better coaches in the league, but he's solid. With the Hornets, they're going to waste LaMelo Ball. Mitch Kupchak is a GM who has really done nothing well in the draft outside hitting on him and Miles Bridges. Of all those two draft picks were massive hits, let's be honest, LaMelo fell right into his lap at number 3. There was no other way the Hornets could have gone on that draft. It was the best case scenario because if the Warriors take LaMelo at number 2 and they end up with James Wiseman, oh my God, Charlotte would be the worst and least exciting team in basketball right now. And taking a layer beyond that, while he drafted Miles Bridges, he was not a particularly impressive product in his first couple of years. It really took the development that came from James Borrego to fully create him into one of the better wing players in the game. It took some time. And so I really don't give Mitch Kupchak a ton of credit because those were good picks, but they weren't particularly challenging ones. I feel like he kind of let the board speak to him. And outside of those two moves, he has done basically everything wrong. He takes James Bouknight in the draft, which I never really understood. I felt like he wasn't a lottery pick, but he liked him as a scorer. This team doesn't need him. They already have Terry Rozier. And keep in mind, he paid Gordon Hayward to bring this team to the playoffs. When Gordon Hayward's on the floor, he's a really good player. But that's the issue here. And his skill set is redundant with LaMelo and Terry because all those guys are at their best when they got the ball in their hands. So that's 3 of them right there. And then you've got 2 more in Kelly Oubre and James Bouknight. I look at the Charlotte Hornets and I just say to myself, they're entering purgatory, where if you keep LaMelo Ball, you're going to be fun. But as we've seen the last 2 years, you're going to be a playing team and not a whole lot more. And I'm really concerned with the guy running the show here, Mitch Kupchak, that while they're going to be a joy to watch and attend their games, in terms of winning, which should be the priority, I think, for any franchise, especially one in Charlotte that hasn't had a whole lot of success, they will lag far behind. But hey, I mean, I think if you're a Hornets fan, you could talk yourself into, if we can just get a center here. We didn't get Rudy Gobert. Hey, that was a good thing. They didn't overpay for a center who's 29 years old and won't fit LaMelo's timeline when he enters his prime. But if Mark Williams at a Duke can grow into the player he was, we saw glimpses playing next to Paolo Banchero. There is a rim protector and lob threat here that LaMelo can play with. And now it's all about finding that replacement at the wing spot, whether it's Miles Bridges or another player. The NBA is a business at the end of the day, and Miles Bridges makes the Hornets a ton of money. And so while there's going to be a huge PR hit if they try to keep him, that I'm sure they would prefer to, if they can, when his situation is a little bit less egregious to the public, though I think that's a terrible thing to say. This is all about making money here for the Hornets, and I think they're trying to make themselves a brand, and they've ran into a couple of really unfortunate roadblocks, and that's why there's the biggest loser of this offseason. You can't get the head coach you wanted, and you lost your best player from last year because of something deplorable he did off the court. So I really do feel for Hornet fans. I mean, it's just a tragic situation and a terrible spot to be in altogether. I'm just hoping LaMelo Ball gets some freaking support, man. Because like you said, Brandon, I mean, he has some of the best potential of any point guard in the league.
He's gone. He's not. He's not. Let's not act like he's gonna stay. He's not gonna stay in Charlotte. He's gone once the contract's up. Let's be honest. Come on.
If he turns down that rookie max extension, we haven't really seen that.
Why would he stay though?
For the qualifying offer? Do you think he gets the rookie max and then requests a trade in 2.5, 3 years?
I wouldn't even do that because now you're muddying waters. Just leave. Get out.
he does have a lot of money for a kid that's only 21, given his
That's what I'm
brand.
saying. You're already freaking rich, dude.
Yeah,
You're already rich.
but think about guys like Bradley Beal, look at Damian Lillard, and those guys are just staying in the same spots over and over again, not appealing places either. I wouldn't be
LaMelo's
surprised
going
if
back.
LaMelo just accepts that big contract too, because at the end of the day, a lot of them are really just playing for money. So you get that big bag, that's generational wealth right there. Why not?
I do agree with you, Justin, but kind of like the prevailing theme in the NBA is you get your money and then you execute the trade. And outside of Bradley Beal, who to me is an anomaly, he just plays for the one franchise that is content with being just an eighth seed every single year. Dame has been to the conference finals, and I compare LaMelo and I say, well, look, dude, the Hornets, akin to the Wizards, they may just be found making a lot of money, and that's how MJ may look at it. But LaMelo, I think he wants to win at the highest level. I don't think he wants to be stuck on a team where they can't draft, they make stupid free agency decisions. Gordon Hayward, yeah, in theory, he's a good pickup, but he hasn't. When is he actually out there? And Kelly Oubre doesn't fit this team either. So I say, look, though he brings a very valuable skill set with Miles Bridges being gone, not Miles. LaMelo Ball is in a situation to fail here. He's never going to actually win a playoff series in Charlotte, and in order for him to do that, which is going to make his brand way more money, he'll like imagine what LaMelo would be playing on the Clippers in a couple of years, or the Lakers. His
Yep.
brand would. I can't imagine how much it would expedite because Charlotte's one of the smallest markets in the league. And I think the opportunity cost to leave once he gets that bag is probably the most likely outcome on the table.
I just, I mean, for a fan of him, from a fan of LaMelo Ball, I hope he leaves. Listen, man, you're gonna miss out on what, 30 million, 40 million, not signing your rookie extension and going to another place and getting a max there. I say take that hit, go win some championships. You'll make it up in endorsements and sponsors and all that, and you'll be a champion. Um, but yeah, for me, I have number 4. I have Orlando Magic. You guys covered them already. I agree with the points. One thing I will say is that we've seen Orlando fumble the bag for years and years after years. So while we have a lot of high hopes and they have a lot of potential, we've also seen them fumble that potential. So we got to be wary of that.
You're alluding to
So
Shaq and Dwight.
yes, and Penny Hardaway kind of, but and Victor Oladipo to a lesser extent, but
They could have used him. That would have been really
yeah,
cool.
so in the last place, I guess we all well, actually, John has Charlotte. Were you joking, John, that you have Charlotte in last place, or is Washington your real last place team?
So at first, I was trying to put you guys an edge. I really do have the Hornets finishing 5th in this division.
Okay, so we'll talk about Washington. I have them in 5th. I don't know about Justin. John has them in 4th.
I have Washington last.
Okay, so we agree. Yeah, I just think Washington is. I don't really have any much to say on it because I just don't really care about them because Bradley Beal has shown he doesn't care about winning. He just wants his money. So why talk about him? If you want to talk about him, go ahead. But you know my sentiments on that type of stuff.
I'm not as strict on that as you are, Brandon, but it does irritate me how fine the franchise is with just being an 8th seed. Sports is a business. I think most fans get that. It's entertainment. It's about producing. But the Wizards haven't produced a thing in 4 years. They haven't had a winning season since 2018. And you're doubling down on Bradley Beal as your number 1. Why? The way I look at it, if you would have traded Bradley Beal 3 years ago in 2020, the same time they traded John Wall, let's say, okay? So technically 2 years ago. You would have gotten 3 first-round picks and probably a good young talent or 2. You want to know what you also would have gotten? A top 5 pick. And when you look at NBA history and you look at what the Wizards have done, John Wall is the first pick. Bradley Beal was a top 5 pick. Otto Porter, who was a tremendous fit playing off of those two, was also a top 5 pick. Now, for every one of those hits you have, you're going to miss on a product such as Jan Vesely, who was number 6. But when you look at history, in order to build a contender and maximize the profit of a team in entertainment value and also production, you don't just be content with something that's okay. One of the most important things in businesses is knowing when to pivot. And I think when I look at the owner, until he owns this, he not only doesn't care about this franchise, he owns the Washington Capitals as well, which ironically is from what I know as a non-hockey fan, one of the better run hockey franchises, probably because his hands off. Um, Maybe if you have just an ounce of ambition here, you would have traded Bradley Beal, but instead they doubled down on the mistake of giving him or not trading him by giving him a no trade clause. That's great. I mean, hats off to Bradley Beal's agent. I said this in a YouTube video. I mean, hey, for Bradley Beal's camp, he got life-changing money, and I think that's terrific. Good for him. He's a top 30 player in the league, but he hasn't brought nothing to this franchise since John Wall was here. And when you look at the future of this team, if they have a losing season this season, which I think most basketball fans would expect, that is 5 straight years of losing, and you have Bradley Beal as one of the highest paid players in the sport, as he's going into his mid to late 30s. His supporting piece is Kristaps Porzingis, who, if he gives you 50 games a year, you're lucky. Why? I I don't like spending too much energy on this team, but what from I've learned in business, which is not a whole lot, I feel like I can see if you shoot for more, you can get more long term. This team is delaying an inevitable rebuild for reasons I can't really comprehend, and I just chalk it up to an owner who doesn't care. And as Brendan always says, the fish rots from the head down. I'm spending no more energy on this team. I can't do it.
I don't have nothing more to say. You hit the nail on the head, man. I won't exhaust my energy either.
So
This
that
is
covers.
the worst team in the sport. I don't even want to watch them next season. And I love basketball. This is the one franchise, even the Kings, I'm looking forward to seeing. I just don't care at all about this team.
So that wraps up the NBA Southeast Division ranking / prediction / breakdown a little bit. Do either of you guys have anything you'd like to say before we end the show?
We should talk. Speaking of not so good owners, I'm laughing. So a year ago, I made a video talking about the Phoenix Suns after they lost the NBA Finals, backtracking history of the franchise, and I focused on their owner, on Robert Sarver, and how he was a cheap penny pinching owner that, quite frankly, put his pockets ahead of what was best for his team to win. I'm of the belief if you have a successful franchise that wins championships, you're going to make more money. But when you come in with the mindset of, let me just utilize my profits fully, and if we don't win at the highest level, that's okay so long as I'm getting a good bang for my buck, we're in business. And so I make this 20-minute long mini documentary on Sarver. It was a really bad video because a year ago I was such a worse presenter and speaker. Now I'm a lot more like I was like, I forget how I introduced the video, but it was horrible. And then 12 hours later, news broke by Jordan Schultz reporting to a Baxter Holmes piece that'll be coming out talking about Robert Sarver and alleged allegations of misogyny, racist remarks, using the N word various times after he heard players use it, after being told he couldn't use that word for cultural connotations. Let's just say he was maybe a little bit wet behind the ears to not really understand, how to actually work with human beings per se. And the NBA waited a full freaking year until the mist of the following NFL season to release this Robert Sarver report and what the conclusion was. Many people expected him to basically be forced to sell the team, much like Donald Sterling was in 2014. Unfortunately, unlike Sterling, there is no video evidence. So Sarver, in spite of owning the Phoenix Mercury WNBA team, while also being a business owner who talks down to women for various reasons, and also at times has pulled his pants down and showed his genitalia to co-workers, which might be the strangest thing I've ever seen. But when you're a millionaire who had the money handed to you by your father, I mean, hey, maybe you just don't understand that sort of stuff, and you can't work with some people. I don't know Robert Sarver, but from everything I've learned, he's not somebody I like to work with. The NBA banned him for a year and fined him $10 million, which is a slap on the wrist for a guy that most of the NBA is African American. And when you're dropping the N word with coworkers that are trying to tell you, look, dude, like, maybe you don't understand this, but this is not how you treat your workers. these guys are making you the profit. And so the money is going to a guy who is, quite frankly, insensitive and beyond insensitive, sexist. I mean, like, everything that this guy's done, he doesn't seem like a good person. And beyond that, he's representing a franchise as the head of it, which the money is generated by people he is racist and sexist towards. It's so ass backwards. And at the end of the day, LeBron tweeted about it yesterday. Adam Silver is not the golden child we all think. If there was a video of Robert Sarver saying any of the 20 terrible things that he was alleged and confirmed to do, and this is including emails where he's like sending pornography to coworkers, the guy's he's out of his off his rocker. And I think the NBA just has a terrible owner that we all know about, and ultimately the only way he'll be gone is if the players boycott. And I'm not going to spend a whole lot of my energy on this guy, but I am a Suns fan. So when you're cheap and you're also an insensitive human being who doesn't really care about others and treats them poorly, even though they're the one making you the money, and you've done nothing else to have your money handed to you and just buy the franchise in the first place, I'm not going to like you a whole lot. Robert Sarver's a terrible owner, and if you guys want to just coalesce in here, I want to keep it lightly professional in a way. I do want to be blunt. This is the worst owner in basketball. It was Donald Sterling, perhaps, and it is a miracle by God this team has been able to overcome him in recent seasons.
Yeah, I mean, not much really to add on. I think John hit all the points. This guy, piece of crap for a human being, should be gone, should be fired. I mean, I've said before, and I'll say again, I think Adam Silver is one of the best, if not the best commissioner in all of sports. Unless you consider Dana White a commissioner, which he's more of a president, but if you kind of think they're similar, then I'll take Dana White for my money. But Adam Silver is very forward thinking usually. He's very usually hitting things right on the head, but this one he's missing the boat again. And the last one we talked about, I forgot he missed the boat too, and I forget what that was about. But yeah, I think he's eventually going to renege because now we've got LeBron coming out saying something, Chris Paul coming out saying something. I think people are going to follow suit and talk too, and I think he's going to have to fight. And I think the pressure is going to be too much, and this guy's going to be out of a job, which he should be.
Well, he's not really out of the job. He's selling the team for like $1 billion.
Well, yeah, you know what I mean. Yeah, not
punishment's not bad.
Yeah, no, I could see the players actually boycotting this. This is half of this league is made on the backs of African Americans, and if you're gonna go out there and straight up spew racist comments, misogynistic comments, sexist comments, whatever it is, there's no place for you in any workplace. Forget just the NBA. This shouldn't be tolerated anywhere. And the NBA coming down lightly, that doesn't look good on the league as well. So I expect there to be some pressure. And ultimately, I don't see this guy owning the Suns for much longer.
Yeah. Well said by all of us. So, Justin, you got anything you'd like to mention, talk about?
Yeah, sure. I won't talk about it too much, but the MLB season is wrapping up, and I'd just like to highlight something special that's really going on for the New York Yankees and all of baseball. The American League record for home runs in a single season is 61 by Roger Maris. With about 20 or 21 games left to play, Aaron Judge, playing in a contract year, has a career high 57 home runs. Hit two nights ago against the Boston Red Sox. We're witnessing arguably one of the greatest seasons of all time, and it stacks up with the likes of Barry Bonds and Mark McGwire, Alex Rodriguez, and I'm talking about players that were big-time steroid users in the height of the steroid era. And this guy, a natural ball player, playing in this era, putting up those numbers, batting over 300, 57 bombs, 120 plus RBIs, and OPS over 1,000. We're witnessing absolute history. And I think everybody should be tuned in every single time this man is at the plate. Every single time. If you are a sports fan, you should be watching this because there's nothing more awesome than watching somebody shatter history. And this guy is definitely on pace to do so in the greatest city in the world and playing for the most successful sports franchise in history. he has a chance to break this record, and I'm stoked. And I've had the opportunity to see him hit a couple of them this year going to games, so I'm super pumped for this one. I hope I'm in the crowd when he hits number 62. I hope it happens.
Well done, well done. That was I'm sorry, I missed when you first said it. That was Aaron Judge you were talking about, right?
Yeah, correct.
Yeah. Interesting. I saw a comment recently. I think it was yesterday that he said he doesn't rule out going to the Red Sox, but you know.
Yeah, the Yankees need to hurry up and pay this man. He's a free agent at season's end. I cannot picture number 99 wearing another uniform. He better not find his way into San Francisco, to Boston, to the Mets. He needs to be wearing pinstripes. And once he gets that contract, he needs to earn the title. They need to give him the title of captain of the New York Yankees. First captain since Derek Jeter.
El Capitan. All right. That wraps everybody's good. Nothing more to bring up. All right. That ends episode 26 of the Wise Guys podcast. Guys, great episode. Fans, enjoy week 2 of the NFL. Get ready. The NBA is coming up next month. I know John is freaking excited. That's his favorite sport. He loves basketball. Ball is life for John. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. We love the interaction. Follow us on our socials, personals. They'll be on the screen. Our account ones will be in the description. Click the links. Do all the good stuff. I've been Brandon Capizello. That was John Tortorelli. And he was Justin Ray. And until next time, Justin.
Stay classy.